Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.
G'day, legends. How the bloody hell are you going? It's Jai That Aussie Metal Guy here with Crannk.com and with thatmetalstation.com. So tonight, wherever you are in the bloody world, it's with great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Christian and Jose from Avandra, whose latest album, Prodigal, came out today through Lad Reality Productions. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me.
Thank you for having us, man. Yeah, for sure.
Absolute pleasure, guys. First off, can you just give a little bit of a shout out for the audio listeners to who you are and what instruments you play? And yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, shout out to you guys and thank you for tuning in. My name is Christian. I play guitar and I sing and I compose like 90% of the music for the band.
Hi, I'm José Miguel. I am the bass player, and yeah, I'm the bass player.
That's totally cool, Jose. I dare say these guys have just got out of a big bloody live stream as well, so I do appreciate them jumping over. The album did come out today. It is release day, and I know they're fairly busy and been talking a fair bit today, so I do appreciate you guys jumping over. I want to hit on that straight away. What was that live stream like, man?
They're always kind of fun. I mean, you have to kind of. So Tom and I, the guy who did the live stream, the owner of Lad Reality, essentially, we have a rapport, you know, and so we already kind of like we have a humor that's very similar. So sometimes we got to tone it down a little bit for the rest of the public, you know. He's like, listen, man,
we need to keep up.
Yeah. You and I, we already have like the things kind of like the humor sit down.
And
you okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody has COVID over there. Oh my god.
Water.
So that's happening now. And let me censor this a little bit. Okay. And oh my god.
Sorry. It's funny because the last interview happened the same shit with me again. You remember?
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how to swallow. Yeah. Anyway, take that as you will.
Sorry. Continue, please.
So Tom. Oh my god, I'm actually worried for you now. So Tom was, you know, so Tom was like kind of like, listen, man, we get each other, but not a lot of people will get our humor, so we got to tone it down a little bit. We tend to get sidetracked a lot. Like I tend to get sidetracked a lot when I don't know, he asked me about like, so what's this song about? And I start talking about the Cookie Monster or some shit, you know, because like we play around with like the humor of it.
That's the other thing. His questions are very open too.
Yeah.
I know Tom.
It's easier it's easy to get like sidetracked. So I think it's part of the fun.
I met Tom. He's a really good guy. I had a chat with him with the TDW project, and he's a bloody awesome guy. And I think I do the same. I ask these big, long-winded, open-asked questions, and it's like, take it however you will, answer however you will. And I think that's why me and him kind of hit off as well, because he was the same. He'd just kind of go off, and I'd go off, and it worked really bloody well for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, he'd ask questions like, so in the grand scheme of the universe and in our lives and in this whole thing we call God, where do you think your album falls in? No, I'm kidding. He wouldn't ask that. But I mean, it's that type of like, it's that type of like I don't know, again, open-ended question, right? So it's kind of like, let's in my brain, it's like, okay, don't get sidetracked.
You see it's a battle. You can see all the possible endings.
I'm Doctor Strange in that case.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a great, you know, live stream. The people were very active in it. You know, they were asking a lot of questions and saying a lot of stuff. One guy told us that he was very inspired to start writing music after hearing all the shit. So I mean, yeah, it's great. Vikram Shankar from Redemption/Silent Skies was there as well. As you probably know, Vikram participates in a lot of stuff with us.
Yep.
He was with us at Prog Power, for example. He was with us on stage at Prog Power Europe.
Well, I just watched that live footage of the In Memoriam one, that video you've got for that as well, and you can see him ripping up, and you've got a great chemistry together on stage as well. It's a really cool clip to have those live shots in there.
Yeah. And it was with Vic, and this was something that we were talking about the live stream as well, is that with Vic, like, so Vikram and I started working around 2020 together for our third album, Skylighting, which was also released under Layered Reality. And Vic and I just started. If I'm screaming, I'm really sorry. Let me know if I'm talking way too loud.
Good,
and
I'll let you know.
Yeah, all right, cool. Just with these things on, it's like talking like in the library, like, what are you doing? So Vikram with us was like, we just got along really well. Since Skylighting, we got along really, really well. And Vic, I was telling Tom, like, Vic was one of these people that he would send me like a file for a song. There was no revision necessary. Like, that was the version of the song that was the versions that you hear on any song, be it on Skylighting or be it on Prodigal. Those are the. Jose, tu micrófono está haciendo ruido con cojones, cabrón.
Yeah, I mean, is this?
Sí, ahora.
I'm sorry, that's me. it was me.
So
it wouldn't happen
Vic,
again.
So Vic, like, for example, he would send me like a version of the song, and immediately that version was it, and that's when we kind of knew that we had chemistry working together. And so our main concern was like, all right, we have chemistry when recording albums, but what about rehearsals and playing live, And when Vic, we rehearsed 2 days in a place called Pop Centrum in Amersfoort in the Netherlands, and we just clicked again. It was like we had been practicing and playing together for 10 years, the first day that we ever played and saw each other in person. And during the show, it was the same thing, and the In Memoriam clip, I kind of fucked up because I remember Tom telling me we're going to make kind of like a live footage, but with the CD audio on top, because I want to make that like the second single and make it cool like that, which is a Diggable Planet song, by the way. Cool like that. Really good song. Sorry, I got sidetracked there for a moment. And Vic remembered that we were shooting a video. So Vic got super hyped up. So in the video, you can see him like, headbanging, and my mom was there. My mom was like, that guy's going to break his head on his keyboard. Oh my God. But in my brain, I'm trying to focus on the song. I'm playing and I'm also singing, but the shit I'm playing is very technical. It's very difficult. So I'm trying to play this very difficult technical riff while I'm singing, while at the same time, I have this really bad habit of trying to listen to what everybody's doing instead of just like focusing solely on myself, which might be a trust thing. I don't know. That's kind of
it's not that bad of a habit, but yeah, if you over focus, I think.
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah.
And then also once you get in that mode of playing live, because when you play these tracks live, you can't play them the same as they are on the album. It's just and you don't want to do it as well. So you kind of, once you get up on stage as well, and you're trying to play along exactly to what you got there as well, would have been quite the challenge too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've been kind of accustomed to playing with click tracks as much as we don't. I mean, there's two camps to this. There's like the rock and roll should be free, and like the groove and like the changes, and like, it's the air, man. It's the air. And then there's the camp that says kind of like, well, the music should be somewhat similar to the album. You don't want to just like improvise the whole way through. The tempo changes and all that shit. And since we do use some backing tracks, not a lot, but very little backing tracks, if we kind of stray from the tempo and all that shit, we're fucked. It's gone. Can we swear? We can swear.
Oh, we can definitely swear. I'm an Aussie, mate. That's all good. We can't help it.
I think we're a little too late to ask
that. Second language here, man. It's one thing we're bad for.
Okay, so that's good because again, so I mean, with Vic, it was just it all felt really natural. Like we call him the honorary Avandra member, but at this point, it's more like, I mean, we use the language of we, like we should do this for the next album. So it's kind of like I've never wanted to say that Vic joined the band or anything because I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I can't speak for him. I don't want to put that pressure on him. Vic is like, he's in redemption, you know, like I mentioned at the beginning with Tom Englund and all these guys, and then he's in Silent Skies with Tom Englund again. He has Threads of Fate, if that exists still. So he has like a shit ton of projects. He went on tour with Penal Salvation in May, from May to July. He's not an official member of Penal Salvation, just to make that clear. But you know, he's a really busy guy, and I don't want to like lay on him like, oh, you're in our band now, by the way.
Yeah, just throw it on him. Christian's like, yeah, now fixing the band, everybody. And then he sits back and watches it and goes, what the fuck, man?
You never told me this shit.
But he's very welcome to it.
He would be too.
I mean, he's welcome to it. He's 100% welcome to it. But at the same time, like I said, he does talk in a lot. Well, we do. Sorry, not him. Like we talk in a lot of like the we language.
He's like a consistent collaborator with a band, like that extra member that's a part of the band that kind of, you know, is so busy doing these things as well, like the ring-in as well.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, so I don't want to put anything on him, but my dog is starting to bark. But so I mean, Vic is like, again, he's gonna be on the rest of the albums in one way or the other. Like we've already talked about, the next album is already written. It's all a process of like these guys laying down their parts. And he's probably yes, he doesn't like, if he doesn't actually record keyboard parts, he's gonna be like mixing it or something. The album that comes after this next, so this one comes out and then another one, and then the other one, the one that's afterwards, we're kind of like gonna co-write together. We already have like 40 minutes of music for that one. Again, not the next one. It's confusing. Not the one that just released.
Yeah, well, this is the fourth one, so it'd be the sixth one, wouldn't it? Something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly. I call it episode 6. So episode 6 is going to be like, it's going to be a collaboration, but an even tighter collaboration between me and Vikram, where we're going to kind of co-write the songs and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. So that was the answer to some question that started like 50 minutes ago.
Yeah, man. Well, can you tell me a little bit about the songwriting process between you guys for this now? Because this is the fourth album in. Dare say you've got it pretty well down, lock and key. Tell us how you kind of work together to make the tracks, and in particular for this album.
Yeah, so this album was a little bit different from it deviated a little bit from the process that we used to do before, because for the first 3 albums I wrote everything, like literally just everything was me for the first 3 albums. I wrote the bass, the drum parts. Adrian would kind of like, the drummer would kind of like, he would kind of alter alter parts and stuff like that for like how a real drummer would play them, and not like how a guitarist wrote them. But everything kind of stayed the same. This 4th album is pretty different in the sense that there's 2 songs. The 4th song and the 9th song are written by the other guitarist. The drummer had, Adrian had much more time to like really flesh out his parts. If you actually listen to that album and you listen to anything else that we've released, this album is the craziest drum album. Like it has just like some pretty insane drum parts that aren't, we've never wanted to make music that was obviously virtuoso, except in maybe some parts. But I mean, the amount of changes that the music goes through, Adrian does them really masterfully, and the amount of details that he adds to his parts are just like, wow, really, really intense stuff. Like I congratulated him on how good his drum parts came out for this album, because it was just like,
the thing is that although he was very, very technical in his drumming, it served the purpose very well. It doesn't sound like overplaying. It sounds
No.
like this is what works here. Is it simple? Yeah. Is it very, very technical? Yeah. But each song has very difficult parts, and it doesn't sound like overplaying, and that's very, very difficult to achieve. And he done that very, very, very well.
Yeah, he does that really well. And throughout the whole album, I mean, I guess another really kind of like special thing about this album, quote unquote, is that it was also mixed by all of us for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I you know, it was mainly mixed by me, but then these guys would come over.
Yeah, we were there, like giving input.
Yeah,
this should be lowered, or this should be more higher, or more bass, less bass.
Like in the drums, it was like, can you make that snare snappier? Can you make that snare, you know, more aggressive? Can you make the double bass drums louder here, or to cut through more, or whatever, you know, because all the songs are pretty different in their intensity and in their kind of like in the structure and the amount of instruments that are layered over on top of everything. We really had to kind of sit down and say, okay, this is not a one mix fits all type of situation. It's not like I mixed the drums this way in the first song and I can just save that preset and then just mix every other song the same way. It was very different because the music is very dynamic. There's a lot of ups and downs and soft parts and like mid tempo parts or mid intensity, high intensity, and how you deal with each one of those parts is very difficult. I actually, funny story, Christian Kohler, actually, he has a studio in Germany, and the guy is like a mixing wizard. And before we mixed the album, I was looking for mixers besides Dan from Astronoid, who had mixed the other two albums. The previous two albums was mixed by Daniel Schwartz from Astronoid. But for this one, I was looking for somebody who worked with metal, like in a much more aggressive way. And Christian, the guy from Germany who mixed, I can't remember the name of the studio right now, but he mixed a lot of like extreme metal stuff. He was like, I can mix this for you. It usually takes 5 days, but your music is so like all over the place in terms of dynamics that it's going to take me quite a longer time for that. So that means the price is going up. And we ended up mixing it ourselves, mainly because we didn't have the money to send it to mix somewhere else. It was a budget issue. Like, it was like, we wanted, at the end of the day, it was like, Dan can mix this, but we just don't have the money for Dan to mix it again. So we'll do it ourselves. I already have enough experience, you know, kind of like playing around with it myself. And what Dan did was he mastered it. He stem mastered all the songs. And so that was kind of like the compromise that we did, because mastering tends to be a lot cheaper. And so that was very special for me, because again, I'm publishing something that I mainly mixed. You know, these guys put their input, but it was something that I mixed, which is a very kind of like, it's scary, because you don't know, like, if people are gonna go, the music is good, but the mix is shit.
The mix is good, man. It's got a really, really clean, bloody sound, man. I was rocking the hell out of it, dude. And to be honest, man, I hadn't heard you guys, and that's part of the joy for me when I do this. When I have emails come across, and then I dive into this, I dive into that album. Then I got to dive into your back catalogue as well, starting with the Timora back in 2017, The Descendant, and Skylightning. But dude, this album is really, really good, man. It's technical. It's got a really great sound. I love the heavies. I love the cleans. I love the dynamic and the progression through the whole album. And look, like for me, when I listen to albums, man, it's like, I know the way the world is like singles, and you can fucking go to your Spotify and you grab that single, this single, man. But I do want people to realize what a joy it is to jump into whole albums, man. From that opening, that Codename Pharaoh, that goes kind of right through to the Daybreak. It starts out with that Eisenhower speech, kind of sets the mood and the theme for this album, and kind of comes through as like, well, you know, you feel this concept or this kind of like story to it that you're trying to tell that I want to know more about as it kind of goes through to the end of the album. And for me, listening to whole albums, especially prog albums like this, man, or doom albums, stoner albums, man, you could sit there and just get fucking totally lost and immersed in the music. Is that, you know?
Yeah. I remember, I think it was Caius, that stoner. I don't know if you've heard of Caius.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. My green machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't remember which album it was. Like they had 3 tracks, but because it was like each track was like 5 or 3 songs or some shit like that, just like stuck together. They were like, no, you're listening to this whole fucking these 3 songs all in a row. I would have loved to do that with this one, or with some, I don't know, concept album where it's like 1 track that's an hour long.
I did. I chatted to a band once. I'd done an interview. It was a written one really early on with a band who done just a whole album. It was 1 track, 42 minutes, mate. You got to listen to the whole fucking thing. That's it.
See but that's fucking great. It was kind of like in the days where you would put the LP and you would just let the LP run because like finding the song was way too difficult. So you were just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll put it from the beginning. Let it run. And
so, on that note, quickly, sorry, Christian, on that note, when you let albums run too, like you also find tracks that you can gravitate more to as well. You listen to one as well, and then you hear another one, a deep cut, and you're like, fuck, man, I really dug that. And you find yourself coming to that one as well, and it changes up when you do listen to these whole albums.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always been a fan of the album, you know? I know that, like, nowadays, depending on the genre, really, even within metal, it depends on which genre or subgenre of metal you're talking about. Like prog tends to be, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the prog as well. It's just, you know how like metal is like, I think the genre with the most subgenres in like existence.
The universe, yeah.
I mean, like progressive metal is a subgenre of metal, but then progressive metal has like a billion other subgenres within it. Like there's the more leprosy
math and metal
kind of like Vola type metal and the clone-ish metal, and then this, you know, the Dream Theater type, whatever. The album, the concept of the album, I've always loved ever since I was 8 and I discovered the Beatles. And so the Beatles are still my favorite band of all time. But, you know, I would sit down and listen to like full Beatles albums. And so I became a big fan of what the concept of the album that they solidified, right? I mean, the Beatles were the ones that actually made the album as important as it is till today, more in these type of subgenres. I've never liked the idea of the single, like never. I know that that's like blasphemy for certain genres of music, but I've never been a fan of just like releasing a single and just moving on, and like it's just like out there in the world. Like my little brother, he's a big fan of urban music here in Puerto Rico, and he writes that type of stuff, and their whole existence is singles.
Yeah, singles.
Like,
I know bands that have only brought out singles, and you're like, fuck, because it's the record label pushing that these days for the Spotify platforms.
Exactly. So it's kind of tailored and catered towards the streaming services, which I'll be honest, I don't really care. You know, like a long time ago, I already decided that I am happy if I can keep making music the way I want to make it, even if I don't earn a living from it, and I'll just find something else, but dedicate a lot of time to music, whatever. I don't care. So I'm gonna keep with that old school album mentality, but you know, keeping it with modern music in an old platform, I guess, or some shit. I don't know. So this is where the whole, you know, concept of the album comes from, because you can't make a concept album without an album. It would just be weird. Yeah. You can't make it with singles. I mean, I guess you could, but it's
no. It wouldn't work the same way. No, you can do a lot of singles, and they at the end of the road they will not match
Yeah, and they'll be like,
So-
I didn't have many listens on that one. We can't listen to that one. And
Yeah.
that one wasn't.
That's very true. That's very true. And so, I mean, do you want me to go into what this particular concept is?
Yeah, dude. I would love you to.
Okay, cool.
And I'll share a quick cover image too.
Awesome. Yeah. So basically,
there we go.
The album has a lot to do with, obviously. Okay, so the album starts out with an Eisenhower speech, right? But it doesn't really matter who is giving the speech. The important thing is what the speech is conveying, which is the warning of marrying the military-industrial complex with government, especially because the U.S. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people really get wrong. I've seen this in a lot of like reviews and stuff like that. Puerto Rico is not South America. Puerto Rico is an island in the Caribbean, and we are a U.S. territory. All right. So when people start saying things like, well, why do they put a US president like speech or whatever? They're from South America. We've had that. It's like we are from the Caribbean and we are a US territory. My grandfather went to the
I actually knew that too, dude. And I've known that for a little while because even with the elections it comes up, but it's funny, I suppose it probably come more from America. Sorry, some over that side on the mainland there where they're like, exactly, they don't get it that there's a whole big fucking world out there, and Puerto Rico is actually a part of you guys, man. So
yeah. And so like my grandfather went to World War II under the American flag, you know, on the US flag. My father went to the Contra Wars in the 80s in Nicaragua under the US flag, not something that he's proud of, but so I mean, because we're a US territory. And so any president that's elected affects us, right? But even with that knowledge, the point of the speech is not even like if he's a Republican president or whatever. It's the warning of not marrying the military-industrial complex with the government because we'll see forever wars, essentially. Because the U.S. is notorious for having like huge amounts of lobbies. You know, the lobbying, the military-industrial complex lobbying in the U.S. Senate is insane. And so it doesn't matter who says it. The important part is that, because then lobbying is just bribes. That's what that is. You know, it's military-industrial complex goes over there, says, listen, you're going to vote for this war. Here's this amount of, here's $50,000 because it's going to help our revenue at the end of the day. That's all they give a shit about. And so that was the important thing. Some people took it a little bit more political than that, which is like, that's not the fucking point of that. The important thing is that, so the first song actually establishes the concept. That was what that warning, the whole song is the waking up of war. It's like the voice of war saying the cycle has begun again. That's how the song starts. And it's this idea of reification. Reification, me coming from, you know, a philosophy background, having a master's in philosophy, all these little terms I like to put in songs. Reifying means making a thing out of a concept. So you conceptualize something and then you materialize it. That's what reifying means. And so it's the concept of war being reified, being materialized by the military-industrial complex. And then that first song is kind of like the background for everything else that's happening in the story. The story, again, from the first song to the last song is one story, which is the second song, for example, starts off with a kid and you meet his parents and his village is destroyed and he sees his mother dying. He gets taken away. And while he gets taken away, he joins the military because he's being told that rebels destroyed his village. And it's this whole voyage of discovering that, I don't know if should I give it away? I don't know if to give it away. But
spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't know if to give the spoiler, but whatever. Essentially what it is, you know, it's the journey of this kid taken from his home, being told lies, like these rebels destroyed your village, so join our military and you can take vengeance. He starts having these images in his head, or rather in his dreams, of his mother telling him that something's not right, like there's something off. And so he starts discovering that the same military that he joined was actually the military that destroyed his village. and the whole rebel rhetoric was actually a lie. It was just like a pretext that they told him in order to get him to join that military. And at the end of the album, the song Daybreak has to do with him making the choice of, instead of going back home and taking revenge on these people, I'm going to go back home and rebuild.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back home and not take the violent road, but rather the rebuilding road. And so it's the hero's journey, right? So you have the little kid, he goes through some shit, he's taken away, then he returns back home, but changed.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like Frodo leaving the Shire, going through all this shit, and then returning to the Shire. But it's not really the same Frodo, nor is it the same Sam or Merry or Pippin or, you know, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, but I mean, like trauma, but I mean in the sense that they're much more mature. They've seen more. You know, it's like Luke Skywalker. You know, Luke Skywalker, Tatooine, has his parents or his uncles killed and whatever, goes on this whole voyage and, you know, gets trained in the ways of the Jedi and whatever. And then in the third movie, in Return of the Jedi, he returns, but he returns changed. You know, he's now a Jedi Knight. He's not, you know, he's not the same little farm boy that he was in the first movie. And so it's the same thing with this story. The kid that returns in the end is a much more mature adult. He comes not with the mentality of violence, but with the mentality of you know, rebuilding and kind of renewing life in the place where he was born, in his home, because that's the concept that's kind of ties this whole thing together, is also the concept of home. The ninth song of the album is called The Earth Inside, and it has to do with the fact that home is not necessarily the soil in which you are, but rather what you carry inside you. So the earth inside has a lot to do with that, you know. So that's basically, you know, the gist of what this album is all about conceptually.
Yeah, really deep too, but also a lot of hidden messages we can kind of get out there, straight up bloody messages as well. Not only are you talking about this boy who went through war and come back a very changed man at the end of it all, instead of going, you know, I could come back and violent, he's turned the other cheek and gone, I'm going to use this for good. A lot of people can use that in their own life, you know what I mean? Like a lot of shit that's happening in the world, a lot of people get fired up. It's like, instead of coming back with anger and more, and it just fuels this endless fucking cycle.
Exactly.
Endless cycle. So if you can come back and turn what's happened as a negative into a positive in your life, whatever it is you are struggling with, then it can only be a good thing, man.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much the underlying message of the whole thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude, like, we're talking prog, man. What are some other prog bands you're getting into, or some bands you want to give a shout out from your local area, man, that deserve a little bit more recognition, man?
There's a few bands. I mean, what would you say, Jose?
Well, the thing is, we have here, like, there is no, like, prog scene per se.
Just whatever, man. Whatever you're getting into, dude. I always like to get a shout out what's happening in your local scene as well, and who you guys are rocking out to from your area.
Chris, you first.
Got to think about
the
this.
thing is, it's very difficult because there are a lot of bands.
Yeah.
But to pick a specific bands, it's very difficult because, for example, you have here the bands that the people like a lot. Like, I think Fulminator would be one of the top.
I like Fulminator.
Bands.
They're pretty cool, man.
But for us, we tend to, I don't know if I should say this, but we play prog metal, but we don't listen to that.
I totally get that, man. I know, dude. Like,
it sounds weird.
No, it doesn't sound weird. It sounds normal. You'd be surprised, Jose, how bloody normal that actually is, man.
From here, I think for my part this would sound like a bit self-serving, but I like Dantesco a lot. Dantesco sadly is no more because the singer passed away a year or so. But it was a doom metal band, and it was the Spanish is getting out of me, and we had this very organized, very solid sound. It didn't sound like low budget band, should I say? So I think Fulminator would be one of the top liked in the island, and Dantesco for my part, and Paris' Patience. My bad.
Yeah.
The thing is that Paris' Patience was like this prog concept, but it's not that proggy. It's more like, I don't know. It was a very strange uh, mix of genres.
Yep.
So it's my band, but I liked it a lot for my part. I'm sorry. I have to say it. I like my band.
That's good.
Not to toot my own horn.
Not to toot my own horn.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like in my case, all that I've been listening to these days have been like Moby, Jamiroquai, the Beatles.
You want to know how to make some songs? That's all you need, mate. Jeez, those guys could write some bloody music. Off the album, guys. Can you pick out a track off the album? I know it fucking changes day to day. Like, which one are you digging at the moment? Like, have you got a favorite at the moment, and why?
For me, at least, it's the second song, the Downpour, and it's kind of always. Again, yeah, like you said, it changes a lot because when you listen to the songs, it's like, this is my favorite. No, wait, this is my favorite. But in my case, the Downpour is the song that I most like, which is the second song of the track. Why? It's just the feel of it. I mean, I feel like Vikram does an amazing job with the synths there to create a really cool ambience. The structure of the song is kind of all over the place in a good way.
Yeah,
because it feels structured, but it's very. There's a part near the end that goes nuts. There's like a 15-16 meter measure in there, and like followed by a 7/8, by a 3/4, 5/4. It's just nuts. But I love the sound because it doesn't sound like it's that convoluted, but it is. So I would guess that song is like my favorite off the album.
That's a heck of a track, dude. That's actually one of my favorites at the moment too, dude. Really fucking dug that one too. Jose, how about you, my friend?
I like Dissembling The Artifice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Dissembling is one of the heaviest songs, and I like heavy songs, but this one is heavy and very well organized and very purposeful. So I like that a lot. When Chris sent me the song, because Skylighting was so moody and so synthy, should I say. He sent me Dissembling, and it was so in your face like type of song. So I like that song a lot. The other thing is that I worked a lot on that song because the bass was not written. So I had like to work on a bass that really worked well with the heaviness, and in order not to make it too moody. So I think it is one of the most difficult songs to play, but in order to the song per se, I loved it from the first day. I get a little bit confused with my English, so bear with me.
Hey, mate, I'm an Aussie. I get confused with my bloody English at times too, mate. It's okay.
If I speak slowly, I can speak without too much. How do I say tropiezo, Chris?
Getting mixed up, yeah. tripping yourself.
Yeah.
And I do want to quickly mention, I love the way that in the Träumen track right in the middle there, I love albums that kind of do that. You have this like big chunk of the album, you know what I mean? Like we're talking Downpour and some of these tracks, man, and then you get this moment to kind of think or kind of just reflect for a minute. I don't know if that's just me when I get albums like this that kind of bring you back and then hit you again. You know, I really do enjoy it. And that comes back to the whole listening. You're not going to get that experience, I suppose, if you just come in and listen to that one track. But when you listen to that whole album and then it kicks in with track 5 there, it does kind of create these moments of introspection, you know what I mean, with the artist and with the band.
Yeah, that's one of those tracks that I included that I figured that some people were going to be like, I don't get it. You know, it's like, what the hell is this track doing here? But it serves the story in the sense that if you listen to the end of A Trace of Home, which is the song that comes before it, this song in Träumen means in dreams in German. But I also like the fact that it's sounds like trauma.
Yeah.
And you know, like a trauma.
Doesn't and then Träumen dreams, it's like
right, exactly. And so and in this song, like it's him falling asleep, and so you hear the piano, and then in the midsection, the piano, the delay starts growing as the song goes by. So the delay starts growing, delay starts growing, delay starts growing. By the middle of the track, the delay is all over the place, and you hear like the birds, and there's a lot going on, and that's him being in like deep sleep. Like that's a deep sleep moment, and then by the time the song starts, you know, all the effects start fading, and the delay of the piano starts kind of minimizing, and then you hear the piano dry at the end. It's already when he wakes up, and then he, you know, starts the next song with many years have passed by since I last saw your face. Wait, photograph in my. That the lyrics for the next song
in memoriam,
the lyrics for the next song, and it's kind of like it's kind of like that process, you know. It's kind of like in Träumen is the deep sleep, falling, waking up, and it falls into in memoriam, which is in memories. So one is in dreams and the other one is in memories. It's all kind of like, I'm not going to say it's pretentious because I'm not pretending anything, but it is kind of artsy, smartsy in a way, because I'm using all these like different, you know, in memoriam, you know, but they have a purpose for being there, you know. And I chose again in Träumen because it's very similar to trauma, and in memoriam because it has to do with the memories, even though in memoriam also has to do with death. So in memory of, right? So there's multiple layers to each title, because I don't choose titles just nilly-willy. You know, I don't want to have a title called The Toaster or some shit like that. You know, it's like it has to have some kind of significance for the song itself. You know, so yeah,
it definitely came out really well, and it fit bloody good. And as I'm saying, look, everybody, you got to listen to the whole album, like as we've said a few times. Yeah, you can grab a couple of tracks off it, listen to it, you know what I mean? Go and listen to the film clips and whatever. But to get the most out of it for me, you go there, buy the album, come out today, people. Christian, Jose, man, I could talk all day. This has been an absolute pleasure, my friends, to catch up about the latest album, Prodigal by Avandra. It did come out today through Layered Reality Productions. Big shout out to Tom. I hope you're going well, my friend, as well. Awesome guy. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous you guys would like to add in there as well?
I guess you can follow us on our websites, like on different pages. We have one on Facebook, which is Avandra PR. So just look for Avandra PR. Instagram as well is also Avandra PR, but not in public relations, but Puerto Rico. That's what PR stands for. And you can just follow us there. I mean, we don't, you know, we're not obsessive about putting shit on social media all the time, but we do, you know, we put important stuff. Let's just put it that way on there. So if you want to, you know, keep up with the band and all that stuff and where we'll be next year playing, then just follow us there. Yeah,
exactly. If you missed that, I will put all the links in the comments, people. Jose, would you like to add anything in, my friend?
No, I think thank you for inviting us and being here with us and listen to the stories. And this is very important to us because this is one of these albums that really means a lot. All the albums means, but this one is very special to us because we all like put ourselves in it in a lot of ways. So yeah, thank you for inviting us.
And a quick shout out to Caligula's horse.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, Australian.
The Caligula's horse rock, man. There is some good bands coming out of this way as well. A quick side note, Jose, and Christian, it's really great that this album, I can see it does mean a lot with you all, especially. I was going to mention it through the interview that just are all working together on this one as well. It would be especially special that just have all chipped in with everything on it. So guys, thank you very much. And again, congratulations on the album. Everybody get it, crank it, put it in the stereos. The neighbors are going to want to hear it as well. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Joy That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!